With 7,000 stores, £53 billion in revenue, and 360,000 employees, Tesco is now a giant in the supermarket industry. It is the leading grocery store in the UK and is now spreading its influence throughout Europe and the rest of the world. However, not many people know that Tesco used to be just one tiny stall in the bustling markets of East London. The boy behind the stall was a gifted salesman who used all his talent and determination to grow his small stall into a large business. His father did not believe in his vision and was so disappointed by his son's dream that he disowned him. He also went on to face death early in his life as a soldier fighting in World War I. But the boy didn't give up and went on to prove his father and the world wrong. This episode is about the inspirational story of Sir Jack Cohen, the man behind Tesco. Jack Cohen was born in 1898 in Whitechapel, an area in the east of London. According to his biography, Jacob was born 2 months premature and was lucky to survive. His family was Jewish and his father, Avram Cohen, was a Polish migrant. Just like many other Polish migrants, Avram worked as a tailor. The outbreak of World War I led to a rise in demand for uniforms, which meant that Avram's business was doing well and he would need more workers. Therefore, at the age of 14, Jack dropped out of school and began an apprenticeship under his father. Jack didn't like the work and found it monotonous, but had to support the family's income, so decided to stick with tailoring. This became even more necessary when his mother passed away in 1915. By the time March 1917 came around, Jack was old enough to be enlisted in the British Air Force, where he would use his tailoring skills as a canvas maker for materials required in the war. However, Jack's luck turned for the worse just 6 months later. Jack was on board HMS Osmania, a British passenger and cargo ship that had left from Southampton and was on its way to Alexandria. When the ship reached Alexandria's port, it struck a mine lodged there by a German submarine. The ship sank in just 7 minutes and resulted in 209 casualties. Jack would have also drowned with the ship, but fortune favoured him as a nurse who could swim helped him stay afloat. After being born premature, this was the second time Jack faced death and survived. When the war ended in 1919, Jack eventually returned to London. At the age of 20, he had his life ahead of him and was unsure what to do. All he had in his pocket was the £30 the British Army gave to those who had served in the war. Jack knew that he did not enjoy his father's tailoring business, so looked elsewhere for work. He happened to be close to the bustling markets in an area in East London called Hackney, and these markets gripped his attention straight away. He loved the vibrant and lively nature of the markets, whereas the attention to detail and fine craft tailoring required bored him. Burning with passion and ambition, Jack told his father that he would set up a small stall in Hackney. Jack's father was unhappy, as this is not what he had imagined for his son, but Jack remained stubborn about his dream. Unable to reconcile differences, Jack and his father broke off their ties with each other. On Jack's first day, he sold Lyle's golden syrup and Nestle canned milk and made a tidy profit of £1, a significant sum at the time. Jack would buy the cheapest products that other traders couldn't sell and use his selling ability to draw in customers. In a later interview, Jack's daughter Shirley said that Jack succeeded at first from sheer hard work, enormous energy and dedication. He was battling, always fighting. After 5 years of hustling in the markets, Jack would marry in 1924 to Sarah Fox and was the owner of multiple stalls. Jack's wife was very supportive of his business and would even invest the £130 they received as a wedding gift from friends and family into the business. Jack would also go on to employ his nephews in order to delegate work due to having multiple stalls in different locations within London. In the same year of his marriage, Jack also met a man called T.E. Stockwell. Stockwell was a tea manufacturer, and Jack wanted to buy and repackage tea to sell in his stall. Unable to pick a name, the two businessmen joined the first three letters of T.E. Stockwell and the first two letters of Cohen to make the name Tesco. The Tesco tea was a huge success and quickly became Jack's best product, as he sold £400 just on the first day. Other traders were so impressed by the tea that they would buy Tesco tea to sell in their own stores. By the time the 1930s came around, Jack already had a turnover of £119,000, and this decade also happened to be when Jack would really grow his business in a different direction. In 1931, the biggest retailers at the time were the Cooperative and Sainsbury's, and Jack knew that the big money was in retail rather than market stalls. With this in mind, he found a location in Burnt Oak in North London, where he would set up his first shop, but needed a lawyer to formalise the purchase. The lawyer was surprised to see that Jack had no formal books, and so urged him to register as a private company. For this private company, Jack used the name of his successful tea brand for his stores, and thus Tesco Stores was born. Tesco would grow fast, as Jack would use every penny of profit to buy up new stores. This was a time when London was growing rapidly, and so Jack would use his instinct to pick out the best neighbourhoods to open new stores. By 1935, there were 40 Tesco stores that Jack had launched, and then, just 4 years later in 1939, the 100th Tesco was opened. Jack became a very wealthy man, but he knew that there was plenty of room to grow for Tesco, as leading retailers in the UK at the time had thousands of stores. In the 1940s, Jack made a move that would propel Tesco to being one of the leading brands in the UK. When he visited America after World War II, he noticed that all the supermarkets were self-service like they are today. Customers would roam around the store and pick an item they desired. In the UK, however, supermarkets were not like this. Customers in the UK would ask the shopkeeper to fetch an item and package the amount they wanted. For example, you would arrive at a Tesco and tell the shopkeeper that you wanted 500 grams of butter. The shopkeeper would then go inside the store and package the amount you requested while you waited. Self-service, however, is clearly more lucrative, as customers would spend more time in the shops, see more products, and therefore spend more. Furthermore, Jack would have to hire fewer shopkeepers and hence would keep costs down. Changing to self-service would bring higher revenues and higher profit margins, so this was a no-brainer for Jack. He opened his first self-service shop in St Albans, a small town outside of London. The self-service strategy played out as he expected, and slowly the entire supermarket industry in the UK also realised this. Over the next 20 years, Britain would have a post-war economic boom, and Tesco's self-service supermarkets would ride this wave, as it became the fourth largest supermarket by 1968 through organic growth as well as acquisitions. In 1969, Jack Cohen became Sir Jack Cohen for his contribution to retail and business in the UK. Sir Jack was now in his 70s, but continued to work right up until he passed away in 1979. After his death, Tesco continued to grow to become the largest supermarket chain in the UK. But for this episode, we want to keep our focus on the story of Sir Jack Cohen, who fought great adversity throughout his childhood and teenage years to grow a retail empire that still stands today. That is it for this week's episode on Mandora. It would do us a great favour if you could like and subscribe if you enjoyed the episode today. And also feel free to check out the various other inspirational stories we have on our channel.